So let's start off with where do you come from? I know you grew.
I
I know
grew,
you're obviously from LA with the baseball cap, but tell
yeah,
us more.
yeah. So, born and raised in LA, born in Bellflower. Parents were living out there on that side. Uh, Both parents are from Pico Rivera, so they grew up
Okay.
right there the whole time. All my family's from Pico, and that side of town. Uh, in '85, we moved out to Hollywood. From Hollywood, we moved to the Valley. We moved everywhere. Every 2 years, we moved somewhere, and
Wow.
ended up here in Northeast LA since 1990. Uh, what 96, 97. So I was
Uh-huh.
about 16, 17. And since then, well, yeah, grew up pretty much all over San Gabriel Valley, San Fernando Valley, and Northeast was what everywhere, pretty much roamed all that area.
Okay, so why is that? Was it because your parents had jobs that require them to relocate, or what's the story behind that? The constant
Yeah,
moving.
honestly, I was too young to understand. I still don't know why we moved so much, you know. But yeah, man, every 2 years, it seemed like we had to get up, go to a new school, and meet new people. That was the hard part, the hardest part,
Right.
moving, leaving friends, And so finally, when we landed here in Northeast, it felt like we got a house. My parents got a
Mm.
house,
Right.
and so this was our home. So from here on out, that's when, started, meeting. I already knew people from around the area because I went to school in Glendale too. So Glendale was
Yeah.
just on the other side of the freeway, so I still knew the area pretty well. But yeah, that's a whole another lifestyle. So
Hey, but you don't strike me as a guy that struggled to make friends, though. You seem like very approachable, like a dude that can just talk to anyone.
yeah, I was shy growing up as a kid.
Okay.
I was shy, but what pulled me out of my shyness was sports.
Mm.
I love sports, and I always, got into sports. I was very competitive as a little kid, and we would go have picnics, and the adults would be playing softball, and I wanted to be in there, playing
Yeah.
softball with the adults, and I always grew up around older people, so they kind of showed me like what to focus on and shooting a basketball or hitting a baseball or stuff like that, so yeah, I love sports, man.
Okay, so then my follow-up question then is, I know you moved around a lot, but there's something I'm curious about. Did you grew up at home, or did you grow up more in the streets? Because I know that even though I always kind of lived in the same area, which was in the Maywood area, I tell people like I grew up in the parks, like my whole childhood, adulthood, young adulthood, even to this day now, right? When I'm playing handball, I seem like I grew up in the streets, but it was for sports too. So how was your upbringing? Was it at home where your parents were like teaching you stuff, or were you like in the streets just doing whatever you wanted to do?
We had my parents were busy, so
Okay.
they're always busy, so they're always gone. So we always had you know we're I guess babysitters, and
Mm.
a lot of them were, I think the majority of them were probably all lesbians, and
Yeah.
yeah, so but it was they were cool. They're like cool with us, like they, taught me how to drive, they taught me how to like,
Right.
tell your mom, we're gonna go on the freeway right now, and drive, so they'll take me to baseball practice, soccer practice, so but yeah, for the most part I grew up in the house, I wasn't like
Yeah.
on the streets all the time. When we moved to the valley, we moved right across the street from elementary school, and I
Hmm.
was about third grade, fourth grade, and so
Yeah.
after school, I was always over there playing
Okay.
kickball, caroms, basketball, football, everything. Like
Right.
when I would get tired, I'd just come home. And at home we had a big old trampoline, a big old backyard, a pool, a pool table.
Okay.
So it wasn't too bad growing up. Like my parents were always gone, but they were not like they were always gone, but work.
Right. They're
So
working. Yeah.
yeah, but yeah, I grew up mostly at home. It's not till about 16, 17, where I started like, going out to the streets more. And then
Okay.
started like changing.
Yeah. Well, that's great because I know that I would always just leave the house because there was nothing at the house.
Yeah.
But it sounds like your parents at least kind of hooked you up with stuff to do at the house where you didn't necessarily have to leave the house.
Well, I
S-
couldn't stay home either, like I got the bike, I jumped, like that guy said, I was always at the school.
yeah.
If it wasn't raining, I was at the school, and then, we used to do mess up things too, we used to break into the school. I used to take my little primo. I used to take my little primo to go fight other little kids. He was
Yeah.
my gallo, like, come on, I
Right.
got my primo right here. He's gonna beat up your little brother. And so we'll set
Yeah.
up little boxing matches with my nephew. I mean, my little cousin, and ride the bike. I don't know. I was always trying to get out the house. I couldn't stay home. Even to this day, I
Yeah.
can't stay home.
So when did you start playing handball?
So my dad always played handball, man. He grew up in Pico. So
Uh-huh.
Rio Hondo College, he was always playing
Okay.
out there. In Jardín, he was playing out there. So he had his little circuit of he was in the 70s playing. So he would go out there and play, and then my mom would go with him. So my dad was a soccer player, so he had legs for
Yeah.
days.
Right.
So uh, his team was a three-time national champion. The Pico team back in his time, so they opened up for Pelé when they came to play
Oh,
in a
wow.
game time. So at the Coliseum, so he had his time of glory, but because of handball, he had legs for days, and that's
Right.
how he would win a lot of games because he just wouldn't give up. My mom would come to the courts, and they would at first they wouldn't let her play because she was a girl, and they found out that she could play. So my dad would play the left side, mom would play the right side, and she had that right corner kill. So they didn't like losing. They didn't like losing to a girl, so they wouldn't want to play with her. So they would have to
Right.
like kind of bribe them to play. So but yeah, growing that was my dad's thing. He'll take me to Rio Hondo College. We'll stay there for hours, man. Get there early and leave when the sun comes down. And I was like felt tortured by the sport, as a kid, because I was just there too long, and
Right.
5 years old, 6 years old, and one more game, and they say, "Hey, you just said that 2 games ago, like I'm hungry." I don't know how he did it. He didn't drink no water, he didn't eat no food, and he played all day. It's like, man, this
Man.
guy, who's this guy?
Hey, but
So,
El Jardín is a big ball court, no? So did he play
yeah,
big ball?
yeah, he played big ball. Yeah,
Okay.
yeah.
Was he a small ball player too, though?
He played small ball when we moved to Glendale.
I see.
So the
Okay,
Glendale
so
Wire,
he's a big ball player then
he's a big
originally.
he's a big ball player. Yeah,
Okay, that's what's in the corazón, the big ball.
yeah, yeah. That's
That's a
where I
little
started too.
surprising.
Yeah,
Okay,
yeah,
okay, that's surprising because I've known you always as a small ball player.
yeah, yeah.
Okay.
He once we moved to Glendale, the Glendale YMCA over here, there's about probably like 60, 65 small ball players.
Oh,
So
wow.
he would go in there to go play handball indoors, and he didn't know indoors. So he's like looking all over the walls, all lost in the court, So the guys will come and they'll start laughing at my dad, because hey, like look at this guy, it was a comedian, a comedy show for them, because
Yeah.
they're all older four-wall players, like some of them were
Mhm.
pro level small ball players, and they were just come here, let me show you, how to play small ball,
Right.
so slowly made a transition into small ball, and I still wasn't really playing, but then we moved from Glendale, we moved to La Puente, and from La Puente, he took me to Alley Fitness in Hacienda Heights,
Mhm.
and at that time, that was the mecca of small ball four wall,
Is that right?
because you had all the top players in well, yeah, all the top players probably in the world at that time playing at Hacienda LA Fitness, and
Wow.
yeah, there was Dave Morones, Randy Morones, you had Vince, Tati, you had Chivo, like all these, and mind you, they all come from big ball. they're from Commerce, so they grew up in Bristol Park, and they played there. But my dad went there one day and he met Tony Wantes, and then he found out who Tony Wantes was, and he was a coach that taught kids how to play. So he's like, "Yeah, I want you to come meet this guy," So I was like, "All right." So he takes me there, and there's this one guy that he was like, "I want you to I met Tony. He's like, "I want you to play this guy. I just want to see what you could do." So he's like, "You should get no points. He should leave you at 0." I'm like, "All right." He's like, "So I'm not expected to do anything." I'm like, "Okay." So I get him the course. His name was Santos, and he was a pretty good player at the time. And I ended up making like 8 or 9 points on him. And then
Mhm.
Tony was like, "Wow." He's like, "You did better than I thought." He's like, "If you keep
Yeah.
on practicing, I'm gonna take you to the junior nationals in Florida." And to me, I was like,
Wow.
"Junior national in Florida? I never been to Florida before." I'm like, "That sounds pretty cool." And and then, as I was there too, I seen all these other kids playing. I was like, "What the heck? Like, this is a real sport." Then I seen
Right.
I seen Tati playing, and I seen all these top players playing on the there was like there was the main court, right? And you couldn't just go into the main court. Like, you had to earn your way to the main court.
Mm.
And you're gonna play on these other courts. It was a glass court, right? The show court.
Yeah.
You're gonna play on all these other courts, and until we hear that you're beating people over there, then you can't come over here. That was like a unspoken rule, right? Right?
Yeah.
And so, like, I think I made it on that court. I eventually made it on that court. But yeah, once I met Tony, I met the players, and I found out that, man, this is actually like a real competitive sport with pro
Right.
level handball players. And since then, Tony took me under his wings, and man, we traveled all over the place, man. So I was about like 15, 16, no, like about 15 when I met Tony. We're living over there in La Puente.
Hey, so why don't you tell us more about Tony though? Because I don't think that a lot of people in the small ball, I mean, in the big ball community know much about him. He was mostly a small ball ambassador, no?
Yeah.
Tell us
Yeah.
more about him. What was
So
his background, or how did he go from just some dude to coaching to sponsoring players?
when I was talking to Tony, he came into the handball world because he was actually a boxing coach, and he had fighters, and he would take his fighters to fight, and they would win, but the ones that lost, he seen them take a beating, and he started feeling bad for them, because these guys are giving, everything they have to become a fighter, but they're leaving hurt, and
Right.
he felt bad, so he felt like that wasn't something that he wanted to do anymore,
Mhm.
so he ran into handball. I guess he always knew what handball was, but he started getting a couple guys, and he started taking them to tournaments, and still coaching them along the way. Like, he's seen how to he found out how to be a better player, even though he wasn't a great player.
Uh-huh.
That's not a coach's job, is to be the best player. The coach's job is to teach you how to play the game. So
Mhm.
he knew the strategy of the game, and I guess he took, like, I guess the strategy of boxing. I don't know how he did it, but he took the strategy of boxing, and it's the same footwork, it's the same hand movement, the same way
Right.
you hit somebody, the same way that you set up to hit the ball, and he liked the sport because it was a year-round sport. There was no, like, baseball is a baseball season, football is football season. He's like, we could play this all year round. We could go outdoors, we could go indoors, we could, go to different states and play. And he liked it because it was competitive, and you use both sides of your body to play.
Right.
And so he would get kids from the community right there in Commerce, and take them traveling, to different tournaments. And he would come actually to where I lived in Glendale at the time. Well, from La Puente, I was there in La Puente. I moved back to Glendale, so I started
Uh-huh.
playing back at the YMCA. And then that's when he came. He'll come and see me at the YMCA. Okay, what are you doing? This is what I want you to focus on, and he'll like give me pointers on how to practice. And then he'll leave, and then he'll come back in a week or two, and then he'll do the same thing. So he'll bring players to me, and then I'll go with him, to wherever we were to go to play on that side. But he was one of those guys that just would have like 15, 20 kids, put them up in a van, and let's go.
Wow.
Let's go to Texas. Let's go to Chicago. Let's go up north. When I was with him, I think like once a month we were going somewhere. You know, we're
Wow.
we're always in Fresno, always Santa Rosa. We're always going to, man, every tournament that was a main tournament, we were going.
So is it true that he would sponsor the whole thing? Like it was on his dime, all these trips, or
Uh,
would you guys put some money in?
no, there were some players that he would bring on board,
Uh-huh.
and they would have to cover, uh, they would have to cover themselves. Like, I'm gonna take you with
Okay.
me, but you pay for your food. I'll get the room, and you
Mm.
pay for your sponsor, like, or for flying to Florida, or one time we played in the Mexican Junior Olympics in Monterrey.
Uh,
So we qualified here as Mexican Americans, and we went to Monterrey to represent, United States as citizens as well. So,
right.
but if you weren't on the team, you'll have to pay for yourself to get there, and he'll take care of the room. Once in a while, he'll treat you, but you gotta be prepared to take care of yourself. But for the ones that he did sponsor, the city of Commerce also put a lot of money into what he was doing.
Mm.
So he'll get, like, I guess, little mini grants. Now,
Right.
me working in the nonprofit world, I'm able to see how there is a way to do it. And
Right.
I'm assuming that he was doing it that way, because the councilman or I guess the mayor, I don't know, Commerce is its own city, but the main guy in Commerce was actually, his office was in Tony's garage.
Oh,
So there was some type of connection there, that it was, Tony was doing something, with the kids, taking them out of the gangs and all that lifestyle, and showing them handball, and taking us to travel.
oh, but it sounds like he definitely spent money out of his pocket though,
Yeah, yeah,
regardless.
he did.
Oh, that's great, man. What a great dude.
Yeah.
Um, did you ever get into trouble with the gangs
I
growing
did.
up?
I did. I took you know, the, I think it's, I guess it was my surrounding, like,
Yeah,
my friends, that we grew up with, um, all their parents were or I don't know, ex gang members, but they were all
right.
somebody. They were all big dogs in the neighborhood, and I was kicking with all their sons, and
I
um,
see.
and so, one summer, literally one summer, it went from nobody was from the neighborhood to everybody was from the neighborhood.
Yeah,
And I was like, damn, what happened? And I
yeah,
guess, we already got, I was so, it was already family at that point,
right,
so, like, there wasn't nothing really, like, I could, not that I wanted to get out of it, but I didn't, those are the guys that I was rolling with. I had your back. They had my back. Let's,
right.
every weekend we're doing something every day. I'm gonna go to your pad. We're gonna go kick it on the block, we're kick at the dead end, and it was just like that, like, you know,
Right. So it's like you already everyone was already part of the environment.
yeah, yeah.
Yeah, I see.
A
So
product of our environment.
let's switch to Victor Resources. Why don't you tell me what that's about? I know it's a nonprofit, but what's the mission there?
So the mission is to develop young leaders.
Okay.
So we have a leadership program for youth, and and we that's one aspect of it. To develop young leaders. Idea is to create strong leaders for the future. If we have strong leaders, then we'll have a strong community. Then we'll have a better environment around us.
Right.
So, create strong individuals, especially males, because in society, if you really take a look at the big picture, you step back, um, there's a big population in prison that are fatherless,
Mm.
right? So there's no
Yeah.
father in the picture. So that leaves a woman to be the strong figure in that setting.
Right.
When I believe, and nothing wrong, with the strong woman, but the man is a protector, the man is a provider, and that's just how I see it, But
Right. Right. Right.
so if we create strong men, we'll create strong families. Strong families are going to develop a strong community.
Right.
So that's the mentality, that, or the idea of creating a strong leadership, because we flipped it. Men were supposed to be the providers, the protectors, secure your family, but now the women actually became the strong ones, right? Because the absence of a male father figure, that
Right.
left all the responsibility on the mom to cook, to clean, to go work, to pay the bills, to to counsel a young man, right? To
Right.
raise a young man, when the best person to raise a young man is a grown man. You
Mhm.
show him the ways, of adulthood. So that's
Right.
the idea of creating strong leaders, young leaders. And then the other thing that we do is that we help out those that are in addiction, those that are coming out of the prison life, gang life, the street life, and
Okay.
if they want a change and they want our help, then we're able to give them resources to begin to make that change and transition to become that father again, the husband again, that son again. So I don't know if I'm sure you're probably aware, but as drug addicts, you could lose yourself, you lose your
Yes.
family, you lose everything, and I was a part of that, and my friends were a part of that, and man, there was a time where all of my friends were in prison, and I was like, what the heck? Like, how did this happen? Like, how did you know how did I get? I'm the only one out here, and
Right.
they're in there. Then I had other friends that just got gunned down, and they weren't even a part of the lifestyle, and they just got gunned down. I'm like, wow, these guys are not even a part of the street life, and they got gunned down. Like, they were actually good people, and
Right.
they got gunned down. And I was like, man, like if anything, I was playing with fire more than they were, like,
Mhm.
wow, like, and so it just started making me think, like man, like as I got older, like I gotta start making some changes, So, but
Right.
Victory Resources, we began to um, have homes that take in men and women, and we have a program that they go through, and they're able to make those changes in life to become, like I said, those fathers, those
Right.
husbands. A lot of restoration takes place, and a lot of success takes place in our programs.
I see. Is it affiliated with Victory Outreach, or is it independent completely?
Yeah, so yeah, it's independent, but we do a lot of
Uh-huh.
work together. We do a lot of
Okay.
So like at the Hood Olympics, a lot of the volunteers were Victory Outreach, so they back me up, and we back each other up, and but not only that, like we had, like, as you can see, the Rams came through, they backed us up,
Yeah.
Ali TKO, it's a boxing gym down the street, they came down, they backed us. We had a bunch of people backing us up, and Chase Bank is another one that comes in and backs us up. They do a lot of our financial literacy classes. So
Yeah.
they come in and they do financial education, teach us how to save, how to budget, how to open a bank account. So I'm really trying to bring resources from the outside to our community, to make
Right.
us more aware of the options for us, because I recently got life insurance, and before, my tia, she was in Prime America. She's like, "Mijo, you gotta get life insurance." I was like, "Yeah, I gotta pay my phone bill." I don't got time for life insurance, right? But that's their mentality. Like, what the heck? Like, you put your money in life insurance now, like it's gonna pay off later. You know, if anything
Yeah,
happens, at least you have something to leave your kids. You know, but we don't grow up thinking like that. You know, we grew up thinking. I remember thinking, I got $100 in my pocket right now. Let's go party. I'll figure out how I'm gonna get my next money later. You know, like let's go. You know, and so my mind was just like, boom, like let's go. You know, like let's go to the next party. Let's go. Let's see who the next female is. You know, and all that led to like some transitions later on in life. But
right.
you know, but yeah, that was that mentality. So I really want to try to bring resources to our community. You know,
Excellent, man. You're doing God's work. I'm proud of you, dog.
thank you,
For
thank you.
real. Hey, getting back a little bit to something you mentioned earlier about wanting help, right? Because I think that a lot of us who grew up in the inner city, myself included, have at least one family member, right, who's dealt with drug problems or addiction problems. And so then you mentioned that it seems like the important key is that they're wanting to help, right?
Right.
How do you deal with people that don't want to help? Do you just say,
Can't
okay,
help them.
well, goodbye?
You can't help them. You could talk to them and try to open up their mind to um, getting sober. But when they're when they don't want it, you can't do nothing with it. You know, you have to want to change. You know, and then having the the drive to continue to change. You know,
Right,
because you could get on the wagon, but you could get off just as fast. You know, so
right,
it's the making the decision to stay, to say to yourself, I'm gonna stay. This is my lifestyle now. You know, I'm not gonna go back. You know, so but it took me 34 years, man. 34 years to be like, all right, you know, like I need to make some changes.
right. Okay. It just seems so tough sometimes, because it seems like the alternative or the only choice is to close the door, and it's like, okay, hey, let me know when you're ready to make a change. But
Yeah,
then what
tough love.
happens? Yeah, tough love, but I've seen tough love lead to death, where it's like, okay, the door's closed now, and then they go and then they, start sleeping under the bridge and the habits continue and then they overdose. And man, I don't know, it's just very hard to reconcile the tough love with tough love is essentially help, but then that help seems to lead to the terrible ending sometimes.
Yeah,
Do you know what I
but
mean?
you have to understand that that's their choice. They're
Okay,
choosing. They're choosing that. They're
right,
choosing dope over their mom, over their family, over their children, over their and what is that? You know, like you could throw a little piece of white rock on the floor and a crackhead will go crawl on the floor and look for it. You
right,
know, but then the same person could have their child come up to them and say, I'm hungry, and they won't feed them. They're choosing. They're
right.
choosing addiction over the people that mean the most to them. So that's a choice that they're making. It's very heartbreaking for the losses, but
Right,
as a family member, you can't hold on and blame yourself for that. You know, it's not your fault. You know, you have
right,
to learn to be like, I tried. We tried. We did what what we could for them. You know,
right.
and I mean, today, I just got news that one of the guys who relapsed, their family came to let us know that he passed away. You know, and it's hard. You know, because help is there,
Right.
restoration is there, recovery is there, but do you want it? You know,
Yeah.
but that just goes to show, like, hey, man, like, still, you have to look at what the government did, though. The government flooded the streets with crack, and that's a fact. You know, so they know what they're doing. This fentanyl, this ain't nothing like man-made. This is a strategic plan. Like, you know, America has an addiction problem, and they want to blame Mexico for supplying the demand. But
Right.
America doesn't want to help the people with the problem in their own country, but they want to blame Mexico. I don't understand that part. But
Yeah. Well, I'm glad there's people like you though that put the resources and programs together to offer the help for people that want it and make the choice to make a change.
Mhm.
So that's great.
Yeah.
Switching it back a little bit to handball, I did notice when I've played you before that you actually have an appreciation for big ball.
Yeah, my dad played. Honestly, I think that uh, I like the feel of the small ball because the
Uh-huh.
big ball feels too light. So
Yeah.
I like the hardest. I grew up playing with the red ace, which is a really hard. It's harder than
Right.
the one now. But I grew up playing with that, and it was just I could spin the ball, hook the ball. I want to feel it. The
Yeah.
big, I can't feel it. It still feels like I'm swinging at the wind sometimes. But the thing about at that time when I started playing, um, all the top players, like nobody played big ball. Nobody.
No,
We would play big ball when we were drunk and we just wanted to mess around. Like, get the big ball, I'll
right.
get you the big ball, like we'll play like that, but nobody took big ball like, well, at the time there wasn't that competition that there is nowadays either.
Right.
Like, and we had a lot more competition now in big ball. Back then you could get games like any day of the week in small ball. Like I said, the in Glendale YMCA had about 60 small ball players.
Wow.
Now,
That's amazing.
now they maybe have one or two. You
Yeah.
know, yeah. It's like the tournaments would be like they would start on Thursday and end Sunday.
Right.
Now you're lucky if it goes one day. Like
Mm.
the small ball is dying, but I like big ball right now because the competition. There's some good.
Okay.
I'm a competitive person.
Right.
I to compete. I love to make adjustments. And yeah, I have to be honest with you. When I first started playing big ball, I would get so pissed off because I'm going for a ceiling and it'll go to the left. I'll go for a kill shot and it'll go to the ceiling. I'm like, how do you control this ball?
Right.
It got to learn to touch. So got to finesse it in there. So uh,
Right.
yeah, I like it.
Well, I never heard you say negative things about big ball, so I like that. That's why I'm like, I gotta talk to Eli. He's one of the
Yeah,
small ball players that has never said anything negative about big ball, to my knowledge. You know, so
yeah. Well,
that's
it's a good sport. Like the small ball is is competitive too.
yeah,
Um, I think it takes a little bit more skill because
yeah,
of the left, your left hand. You can't do a paddle.
mhm,
Big ball is more of a paddle. A small
yeah,
ball, you have to use a swing. So, um, there. Don't get me wrong. There's some big ball players that do that, but the
right,
majority, if you want to be a top uh, small ball player, you can't. Your left cannot be weak.
right,
It has to be offense and defense. Where that's just my opinion. I just think that small ball is a little bit more difficult to play. And of course, the biggest complaint is it hurts my hands. But we all go through that to play small ball. We all have to go through the bruising season. And I think that's why a lot of people don't play is because it hurts. But it only
right.
hurts for like a month or two. After that, you're good.
Okay, let's go back to the Hood Olympics. You mentioned it,
Uh,
and so it seems that you've been doing it what 3, 4 years now, and it looks like every year it's gotten bigger and bigger.
Yeah, yeah, man. The Hood Olympics started off as us going into the streets and um, reaching out to the prostitutes and those that
Oh,
are
really?
involved in sex trafficking. And so we provide safe houses for them. So it's the story behind Hood Olympics is Code Red. Code Red is when we actually do that. That whole month that we have Code Red, we're actually online doing the cyber, trying to, those that are in cyber sex trafficking, we're reaching out to
Uh-huh.
them. We have a whole team that's going out into the streets and trying to help those that are on Figueroa, Pomona, uh, all the different Long Beach Boulevard. So they're trying to let them know that there's a way out because a lot of them are really stuck in that lifestyle, and there's some of them that want to be there though. I'm not gonna lie.
Yeah.
Some that like the lifestyle. Others are really kidnapped from their families and taken to that lifestyle, which is, those are the ones we really try to help. So with that, we're already doing it, and we put on this big old setup. And I was like, you know what, we're already working hard for this event to happen. Let's just beef it up a little bit. Let's we're still gonna have that for the women, but let's reach out to the community now. Let's highlight on the best in our community that don't ever get highlighted on. Doing what we do every day, right? We do these things, these activities, these sports every day. Let's highlight on them and let's celebrate them. Because usually the ones that get celebrated are the ones on the TV screen in the NFL, in basketball, NBA. Like the talent in our neighborhoods get overlooked. So we
Right.
want to just celebrate the talent in the neighborhood, So that's why we come out with the graffiti art battle. We come out with the barber battle. We come out with the spades tournament, with the chess tournament. We come out with we're doing the dog, the best Frenchie and the best looking dog, the best lowrider, the best motorcycle, handball. We had the Rams came out and they did a clinic and whatever activity, the sprint, whoever did the fastest sprint, they will get the gold medal. And so we're trying to do something for every sport and activity to highlight the best in our communities.
That's great, man. I'm looking forward to being there next year. This year I told you in private I couldn't go because of my knee. Last year I don't know what happened, and the year before I don't know what happened either. I don't have a good excuse. I'm kind of embarrassed that I wasn't there. I know I went to the first one with handball, so the
Yeah.
next one I'll be there and I'll take as many big ball players as I possibly can. Some of the big ball players, as you know, do follow my events, and so we're
Yeah.
gonna be there. Better Promotions
There
will
you
be there
go.
at the next Hood Olympics. All right.
There you go. Yeah, yeah, yeah. Let's do it.
Yeah, we're gonna make it an event. Why is it important to you though? Like why, like in your heart, why do you feel inclined to do that?
Um, Low key exposure to handball. Uh,
Okay,
I want to expose our sport. Like that's my hidden agenda. Uh,
right.
is to expose the sport. Let's show off our sport. Because growing up in all these different going to all these different tournaments, uh,
Hmm.
we would have family members of these young guys competing, right? That they were athletes. They're football players, basketball players, baseball players, soccer players, and they're playing handball. And I would hear the
Right.
mom, like, I would hear the parents like, "Oh my God, this sport is so intense. Like it's far worse than basketball or baseball or any other sport because every point matters. Every point, every shot, matters, right? And so
Right.
that's why I feel like we have the best underground sport. The thing that hinders our sport is the viewing capacity, right? Only certain people could look at it in one court,
Yep.
so viewing it hurts it. And even like at Venice Beach, we used to have big old crowds going over there. Oh, you did a one where it was a huge crowd, but the people who are walking by, there's so many people right there, they can't even see the excitement that's going on because it's just
Yeah.
it's too many people, So um, I do think that we have a big one of the best sports. It is one of the best sports. And the same way that squash gets all this recognition is
Yeah.
crazy. Like how squash is an elite sport, and it's in the Ivory schools. All the top elite schools have squash, and you can actually get a scholarship playing squash and go to Yale. Give me like a free ride to go to Harvard because of squash,
Yeah.
right? And small ball does offer that opportunity for a lot of people to go into college, and you don't have to be that good, really. You don't have to be that good. You just have to be. I think they look at your grade point average, and then they'll take that. I think it's a 3 or 3.5 that you have to have. So like a B student, if you're a B student, and you play handball, they will actually give you a scholarship to go to the college, and
Wow.
that's
Yeah.
one of the benefits of small ball. And a lot of people that I grew up with took that ride, so
You
I
know, I
didn't.
think you didn't do it though.
Uh, I
Oh,
was I was gonna do it, but I didn't.
I think you've made the best point I've heard anyone say about why it doesn't grow, and it's the visibility. It's very hard to grow a sport where people cannot see it outside of that little section that's behind the court or behind the line.
Ireland does have that glass court.
The
They
whole
do
the
have,
side was in the
yeah,
back.
all glass. Yeah,
Yeah,
and
that's
it's
the only.
show court, and they're like stadium seating around it. So it's pretty dope. Like they
Oh,
they take handball to another level over there.
what? Why don't you tell us about the best small ball players? For us big ball players that don't know, and maybe we can go YouTube some of them.
Yeah, man, the best small ball players going back first is gonna be Nati Alvarado. Like he's a
Okay.
legend. He's the one that changed the game. So if you look at video footage from back in the days of like I think it might be even black and white, or that transition between color and black and
Yeah.
white. It's not really fully color. You would see a lot of players would rally the ball, kill the ball with the right, but their left was all defense,
Mhm.
right? So it was just keep the ball in play with your left. If it came to your left, you just keep it in play. And so not the what I think was the first to begin to transition your left into an offensive weapon. So he changed the game and he became like the killer, right? Like everything
Yeah.
was to shoot and kill. And from there, he just triggered a whole bunch of like similar mindsets of strategy that trickled down to us. Well, the generation before me was the thought was Tati Severa. He grew up in Commerce. Vince Munoz. He grew up in Commerce. Eddie Severa. He grew up in Commerce. David Severa grew up in Commerce. So you have these players that come from that serve and shoot mentality that grew up in Bristol Park. So they had that long ball kill, so they could kill from anywhere on the
Yeah.
court.
Oh,
Going
right.
shooting past the 40-foot mark was nothing uncommon. That they had
Right.
the strength and they had the ability to shoot that far, both hands, right? Fly kill the ball from anywhere on the court. Like I don't know if you see Mondo play, but he's like
Yeah.
probably the most similar player to those type of players back then. Was just like aggressive killers on the court, And then you had Dave Chapman, who was like a surgeon on the court. Older white guy, not older, but he looked older. He looked like an old man.
Yeah.
But he was the same age as Tati and Nati and all them. And he just looked like he did not look like a handball player. But if you were to see him coming down the street, you're like, this guy does not play handball. I'll destroy this guy, But this guy was a
Yeah.
surgeon, the most technical player that I grew up watching, and he had a slow game. And I take a lot of my game to copy his game because that slow game actually confuses you because
Yeah.
a fast game is just a reaction. A slow game is okay. I got this shot, the ceiling, a pass shot, a kill shot, left shot, right shot. Too many shots are going into your mind, and then you
Right.
you lose focus of that one shot that you need to make. So he had this lob game that was just like ridiculous, and he would frustrate all these guys. And for a time, he reigned in the court, for many years. But
Even
John
in Triwa?
He had some time in three wall, but he was a threat. He was always a threat.
Oh, any court.
Any court, he was a threat. I don't know about
Okay.
one wall because one wall back then wasn't really too big. I know it was always
Yeah.
big in New York, but on this side it wasn't like everybody's going to New York to go play one wall. And like
Right.
it was like
But
we played three wall and four wall.
Dave can go to Commerce and compete with the top dogs there
Oh yeah,
in three
yeah.
wall. Yeah. Okay.
He was like a chameleon. He can adjust to anything, man. Like he was very impressive. Even in Toledo, Ohio, I think he's if he didn't win, he was in the finals, or he had some hardcore games, beating like the finalists, So, but he adjusted. John Bike, crazy power. His calves look like big old tree stumps.
Yeah, I saw those.
Crazy power that he has. You know, uh, John Robles, he had some nasty hooks. I think probably the biggest hooks in the game at the time. Chris Watkins was super aggressive, and he was like one of those guys that just didn't give up, tenacious, on the court. Um, Man, you had uh, man, all these
There's so
guys.
many.
Yeah, there was like
I
I
always,
said, like you could play those tournaments back then started on Thursday, a full draw all the way till Sunday. So
yeah,
there was a
crazy.
lot of handball.
I heard a lot of good stuff about, I've never seen him play. Morones.
Oh,
What was his first name?
Randy Morones.
Randy. His
He grew
handball
up in
career got cut short though, right?
Yeah, he would come play with us at the Y. He grew up in Pico, and he playing right there in Pico Boys. They had courts over there in Pico Boys and Pico Viejo. They had courts back
Uh-huh.
there. He grew up playing in those courts. But this guy, ambidextrous, he had the
Yeah.
most amazing shots. That you could think of. He had these crazy like hazel blue eyes,
Uh-huh.
and he will look like real intense at you, and it's almost like, damn, like you're staring too hard, like. But the eyes were so like, wow, you have nice eyes though, So, but he
Yeah.
was cat eyes, those cat eyes, but man, he was from. I mean, he grew up in the neighborhood too, like he was a homie,
Yeah.
but he was over here on this side when actually in he Yosemite Park was a big park, and I spent a lot of time playing there as well. But Yosemite Park was short three wall courts. It was one court, and you had when I was there was about 40 guys waiting to play in this one court.
Wow.
Before me, there was a bigger crowd, and Dave Morones, call him Papa Dave, that's Randy's dad, would come
Mhm.
and bring all those players. So Dave Morones, he was like the greatest player that came out of Southern California that didn't travel.
I
Like
see.
he had his skills were amazing, smooth
Yeah.
operator, and but yeah, Randy, he came from him, and Randy was, man, one of the most amazing players that I seen him do some amazing shots that you wouldn't even think of, and he would do them. He just didn't care. I think that's why he was so good. He just didn't care, and he'll play hard, and
Right.
he would just make the
Yeah,
shot.
that's what I've heard over the years, over the last 10 years. I've heard the same thing from many different people about Randy and Dave. Unfortunately, I never got to see them, but it seems like everyone validates the stories.
Oh yeah, man.
Right.
There,
So,
there was the greatest. I think they're the only father-son world champions.
can you explain the responsibilities of doubles or of each
Uh,
player in doubles, just for people that
okay,
don't know?
okay. So I was taught by rest in peace Andy Scarpolino.
Mhm.
He died. I was actually playing with him on the court when he dove for the ball. He got up, he took a knee, and he was one of those mental players. Like he'll try to get into your head.
Yeah.
And he got up, walked out the court. My God, this guy's playing games. He's trying to ice us. Because he didn't like to lose. He was like a really aggressive player. Walked off the court, passed the water, I was like, oh, he's probably gonna go to the snack bar, eat something. Walked outside, and that was the last we seen him. He ended up dying in his car. He had a heart attack, and I guess he was gonna try to drive himself to the hospital. He ended up dying in his car. That
Wow.
same time, walked off the court. But he taught me how to play the right side. Uh,
Okay.
you know, because he was he'll let you know if he messed up. He was one of those guys.
Yeah.
Like he would not stop talking on the court. He would like get at you, and he would like if you messed up, oh, he's gonna give you an earful. So, but he was at that time, he was probably open pro when he was teaching me, open pro player. So I would just get out of his way. So he taught me really to move. Your job is to let me play, and what I can't get, you get. Right? The strong player leads the game. Right? So that usually the strong player is going to be the left side player because we're mostly righties. So the strong player has a stronger left than the right side player. So the right side player's job is to cover what the strong player can't. And
Mhm.
there's times when you're in the rally and you might have a good shot, but you have to be mindful that your partner might have a better shot. There's a lot of
Right.
players that are not mindful of that. If it comes to me, I'm gonna hit it. But you the left side player is working for the setup. So when I'm playing left now, I'm rallying the ball for a setup. I'm rallying the ball for a pass shot, for a kill shot. I'm rallying the ball for you to miss it, right? So I'm trying to move the ball around so that we could win this rally to get the point. But when the right side player doesn't understand that, he's going to put his hand in whenever he wants and do whatever he wants to do with the ball. He's not understanding the strategy, right? So the right side player is really to get in there when you need to,
Right.
right? And you have to move out of the way. A lot of it is moving out the way. Now you have to understand your role and you have to understand momentum because a lot of times the left side player will gas out, right? He needs a
Yeah.
little break, right? He needs a little
Right.
break. So the right side player comes in, and now you have to carry that momentum for that time, right? So or the right side player might get hot, and the left side player has to understand this guy, my partner's hot right now. I need to leave him alone. He needs to make as many points as he can right now because he's on fire. So let me sit back. I'll back him up now. No,
Right.
so now you have to the players have to know. Like I have a chemistry with little Mark Zamora where I don't even have to
Uh-huh.
talk to him. I don't have to talk to him. Like we're so in sync where I already know what he's gonna do. He knows what I'm gonna do. And when I can't cover the ball, he's there. When he can't cover it, we're just like constantly flowing. And that's when you have the synergy going on. Both of you guys know how each other play. But a lot of times the right side player just wants to get in there. They just want to get
Right.
in there. The hardest thing besides getting good and staying good is finding a good partner. People think because, oh, I'm good and he's good, we make a good team. That's not always right because there has to be someone has to take the lead. You can't have two
Right.
leaders in there, and you have to be okay being the backup player.
Mhm.
If you're not okay with that, then you guys are going to be bumping heads. You guys are going to be going for the same shots. You're going to be thinking, oh, I thought you're going to get it, and you're going to leave somebody hanging. But really, the responsibility of the right side player is to serve good serves. Don't set them up. When a kill shot comes to you, take the kill shot. If you don't have a kill shot, send it back, uh, pass it, do something. But you're there to dig. You're the digger.
Yeah.
Like
Right.
and you have to be okay with that. And it's I learned the hard way with this guy, but he taught me the right way.
Yeah.
He taught me the right way, and rest in peace, Andy. He was one of those guys where you hated to play with them because he was so not even aggressive, but so competitive that he never
Yeah.
wanted to lose. Right? He never wanted to lose. So like, man, here comes Danny. Man, but you know you're gonna get a good game from him, right? You know, like,
Yeah.
oh, I'm gonna get a good game. You know, like he's gonna come up. Yeah, I'm gonna get a good game. But you just didn't want to go through all the fighting, and that was good. That was short. I got that 2 bounces, all that stuff. You know, so but
Right. Okay.
to learn
Great.
the right
Great.
side is an art. It's an art to learn the right side. Not everybody can play
Yeah.
the right side player.
Right. Okay. Cool. And then here to wrap it up, just because I know that so many people have very fond memories of Tony Guante, can you share a good memory or something that comes to mind when you think of him?
Yeah, man. Growing up, besides my dad, there was 2 influential people in my life. That was my tío Chito, my Uncle Andy. He taught me how to work. So you know, when we moved to the valley when we lived in a house across the street from the school, um, the summertime he would take me to work with him on the roof. So as a young age, I'm 3rd generation roofer. So at a young age, I was on the roof every summer, and whenever he needed me, you know, I'll go on the roof. So he taught me how to work hard, you know, and make a little bit of
Yeah.
money, you know. So, but uh, that was one thing that stuck with me is
Yeah.
hard work. Uh, Second was Tony, and we would sometimes we'll be going to tournaments, and he'll have to drop me off last, and he would make me think about life. Think about life, Eli. Like handball's good, handball because I was already 16, 17. He's like handball's good, but you need something that's gonna uh, bring money to you. He told me, Eli, if I lost everything, he was a millionaire. He had a bunch of property. If I lost everything today, I know how to be a millionaire again. I'm a
Right.
businessman. I know what to do. I know the moves to make money. He's like, and you need to learn that. He's like, you need to think about it. Think about what you want to do, you know. And he would feed me ideas. Tow truck driver, they make good money. If you own your own truck, you can make good money. HVAC, everybody needs cooling. Everybody needs AC. You know, plumbing. You know, and he started making me think about trades. And I already was already in the mix with roofing, so I knew the trade, but he was making me think about my future. Like
Right.
handball is a sport. It's activity. We're not going to get rich off of playing handball. You know, we're not at that level. I don't know if we're ever going to get in that level. I hope we do. You know, but I think that's going to be. We have to, like I said, we have to make the sport look good and attractive to sponsors to even want to be interested to give those. And then when they give, we can't be, taking time out, drinking a beer in front of the camera because sponsors don't want to see that. Like talking about all kinds of crazy stuff. Anyway, that's a whole other topic. But back to
Right.
Tony, I think that he made me think. He made me think about life. He made me think about my future. Um, to think not in the now, but to think futuristically. You know,
Yeah.
how are you going to make the moves? And even when I got stuck in the street life, and with the neighborhood over here, and started doing my thing with them, he was so echo in my mind. Like what are you gonna do? And handball was in my most toughest moments in life. Handball was my therapy.
Yeah.
When I lost friends, when I heartache, those relationships, when a female breaks your heart, when I lost my job, when I was going through it with my family, when I was stuck on dope, and I wanted to get healthy again, I want to go play handball. When I wanted peace of mind, so handball was such a big part of my life that it was a therapy for me to get
Yeah.
lost with the ball, hit the ball, and be competitive. With that, it was just an escape for me. But he taught me the sport that I grew to love. But he also taught me how to think ahead in life. So rest in peace. Tony Montes, thank you for everything that you did for us. He didn't just affect my life; he affected uh, hundreds of kids' lives. So yeah, man, big props up to Tony.
Wow, I think that's a great way to finish it. Thank you, Eli, for your time.
All right, man. Thank you for having me on here.
We
And
did good, right? I think we did good.
yeah, we did good. Keep it up,
Okay,
man. Keep it up.
I'll see you at Venice.
All right, bro. See you later.
All right, take care.